What are microplastics, you may ask? Well, I'm here to tell you a story. Us aquatic life have been struggling with the effects of pollution for centuries. Not only has our home been contaminated by humans, the garbage that circulates our every move breaks apart and forms what you like to call microplastics. These minuscule fragments come from litter, line and fiber from rope, netting, and even cigarette butts, as well as foam from food containers and packaging, plastic film, and those small little pellets you use for packing. Humans even form these on purpose, calling them microbeads, a substitute for natural products used as an abrasive material. Cosmetics and cleaning agents are packed with these microbeads. Apparently, they're even in your clothes. You humans think this is a recent issue? Well, we've been suffering for longer than you know. These plastics have been floating around us for over 50 years. This pollution is affecting our health when we mistake these microplastics for food. They make us feel tired and even have an impact on our psychological functions. As these microplastics get passed throughout the food chain, they eventually end up back at the humans who created them. The cycle continues because they are nearly impossible to remove from the water.
Synthetic plastics were first introduced in the beginning of the 20th century, followed by their large-scale production in the 1950s, and the industry has grown exponentially ever since. In 1950, the world produced only 2 million tons of plastic every year, but as of 2015, that number has grown to 381 million tons per year. Plastic materials can be found everywhere in modern industry and our daily lives, and they have changed the way we consume and produce waste as a society. An estimated 40% of the plastic we produce is thrown away after just a single use, and only a tenth of the plastic ever made has been recycled. Plastic waste in the environment began to be perceived as an environmental problem in the 1970s, but awareness and action were still relatively low until the 2000s. In recent years, scientists have also shifted the discussion from visible plastic waste to a less visible issue, microplastics. Most of the concern surrounds their release from cosmetic products and synthetic textiles during the washing of clothes. The release of microplastics into water sources is a global issue connected by many different industries and companies. As mentioned before, our global economy has become increasingly dependent on plastic products. You'll find plastic in packaging, building and construction materials, the automotive industry, electrical and electronic parts, household leisure and sports products, the medical field, the agricultural sector, and much, much more. Here's what plastic waste generation by the industrial sector looked like in 2015. Packaging at 141 million tons, textiles at 42 million tons, and consumer and institutional products at 37 million tons. Plastic packaging is clearly a prominent issue that connects many different industries related to consumer goods. Think food and snacks, personal care items, or literally anything else you buy that isn't just presented as is. We also have to consider the industries that are impacted by microplastics or are trying to fix the issue. Accumulating microplastics can affect the fishing industry, damage the marine industry, affect tourism, and even show up in our food. Microplastics have also shown up in marine water, wastewater, fresh water, food, air, and drinking water, bottled and tapped. This is an issue that affects many different aspects of our lives, essential aspects key to our existence and way of life. Fortunately, many activists, scientists, and environmental for and nonprofits are working to get at the source of this issue, from pressuring governments to enact change to publishing lists of companies that produce the most plastic. Single-use plastics are particularly under pressure, and many countries and companies have already banned or limited their use. For small retailers, zero packaging strategies help to make a difference. And research into how to prevent fibers from being released from synthetic clothing will prove useful in cutting down this main source of microplastics. In a specific example, 150 consumer goods companies that produce significant plastic waste every year have made various commitments to reduce their impact. This includes increased transparency and accountability about their operations and getting rid of single-use packaging. It's just a first step, but there are some big names and big contributors involved. Coca-Cola, Mars, Nestle, and Danone are all involved, four of the world's large consumer goods companies that collectively produce 6 million tons of plastic waste every year.
As the world starts to realize its impact on our environments, corporate companies and industries have begun to take action to do their part in making that difference. Whether it's banning plastic from their production, creating reusable packaging, or even becoming an agent in that change. Some major companies that have pledged to less plastic production would be Nestle. A food-producing company made the commitment to producing 100% recyclable or reusable plastic by 2025. McDonald's, a fast food chain, has said that by 2025, all their packaging will be renewable and recyclable. And Dell, a largely known computer company, has said that they already use ocean plastics and bamboo for their packaging, but they also aim by 2020 to make 100% of their packaging waste-free. Other brands, such as SLO Active, a swimmer production company, are making ocean-friendly swimwear and wetsuits, as well as cleaning out the oceans at the same time. TAP is another company that creates water filters out of coconut shells to minimize microplastic consumption. Azome is a bedding company that is also helping with this change, where they produce zero waste while manufacturing their bedding material. Another company that is attempting to combat the amount of microfibers in our oceans is the Coral Ball. This collects all the fuzz, or known as microfibers, from our laundry loads and allows for proper disposal instead of our wastewater treatment plants and straight into our oceans. We as consumers also have a role to play in this fight against mass plastic production. Some things that we can do is to choose air drying our clothing rather than through a dryer. 60% of our clothing are synthetic material, which is the main source of microfibers polluting our oceans. Another course of action we could take is buying natural fiber clothing such as cotton to reduce those microfibers. We could also avoid buying products that contain microbeads, such as face washes and body washes. The most we can do to limit the amount of plastics in our oceans is to choose glass, metal, or just any reusable material over plastics. However, some of these solutions do seem to be class deaf, as the less environmentally friendly options are cheaper options. It should not be a luxury to be environmentally conscious.